The stars were burning quietly in the sky when the last human ship went dark. Across the cold edge of the galaxy, silence fell, a silence filled with fear, metal, and the memory of Earth. No one really remembered how the war began. Some said it started when the humans refused to bow to the Galactic Union. Others whispered that it was because humans were different, too emotional, too brave, too unpredictable. Whatever the truth was, the humans had lost, or so everyone thought. In a vast city made of silver towers and floating lights, the Academy of Valkyra prepared for another day. It was not just any academy. It was the galaxy's most dangerous school, a place where the strongest alien girls were trained to become warriors. Every student there could crush steel with her bare hands, or command a fleet with a single gesture. No one weak survived in Valkyra, and on that day something impossible happened. A human arrived. His name was Elior Kane. Only 17, thin, with dark hair and quiet eyes. When the headmistress, an 8-foot-tall alien with silver skin, looked at him, the hall went still. Hundreds of alien girls, each wearing shining armor, turned to stare. Their faces showed surprise, disgust, curiosity, and something else, something like challenge. "What is this?" one of them whispered. "A human here." Elior just smiled. He knew he did not belong. He had heard the stories. Humans were considered extinct or worse, weak. But he was not here to prove them wrong. He was here because of a promise to his sister. The war had taken her. She had been one of the first to fight, one of the last to fall. Before her last mission, she told him, "Elior, never stop learning, never stop fighting, even when everyone thinks it's over." So he came here to the enemy's school to learn their ways. The first day was chaos. During combat training, Elior was thrown across the arena again and again. His opponent, a tall alien girl with blue skin and burning red eyes named Rinna, laughed each time he hit the ground. "You don't belong here, human," she said coldly. "Go back to your dead planet." Elior stood coughing, blood on his lip. But he didn't quit. He looked her in the eyes, smiled faintly, and said, "Then make me leave." For a second, everyone went silent. The instructor, an ancient alien commander, watched carefully. He had seen thousands of warriors, but never someone like Elior. The boy was slow, weak, but his eyes had something the others lacked. A fire that didn't go out. Rinna attacked again, faster than before, her spear flashing through the air. Elior dodged, barely, feeling the heat of the weapon graze his skin. He rolled, picked up a fallen training rod, and struck. It hit her armor, not strong enough to hurt her, but enough to make her pause. The room gasped. "You dare," she began. But the instructor raised his hand. "That's enough." His voice echoed through the hall. "The human stays. Let's see how long he survives." Elior didn't respond. He was breathing hard, his muscles aching, but there was that same smile again. Not a mocking one. A quiet, stubborn smile that said he wouldn't give up. That night, as he sat alone in the dorm courtyard, he looked up at the alien stars. They were not like Earth stars, too sharp, too bright, like cold fire in a glass sky. Around him, the academy hummed with strange life, machines that floated silently, glowing plants that whispered in the wind. For the first time since the war, he felt something different. Not fear, not anger, but curiosity. He didn't know that somewhere deep beneath the academy, hidden in sealed chambers, a secret was waiting. Something that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. Something the academy didn't want him to find. And far above, in the orbiting command station, someone was watching him, a figure cloaked in dark armor, eyes glowing like red suns. "So the last human lives," the voice said quietly. "Let's see how long before he breaks." Elior didn't know it yet, but the academy was not just a school. It was a battlefield. And every lesson would test not just his strength, but his humanity. And so it began. The human among alien warriors. The boy who smiled in the face of death. Morning in the Valkyra Academy began with thunder. The sound was not from the sky. It came from the training fields below, where thousands of alien girls were already in motion. Metallic spears clashed, engines roared, and the ground itself trembled. Every corner of the academy was alive with battle energy. Elior woke to it, sore from head to toe. His body felt like it had been torn apart and rebuilt overnight. The bed was too big for him. The air too sharp, filled with metallic scent. Alien words flashed on the digital walls of his dorm. He could barely read them yet. He pushed himself up and looked at his reflection in the mirror. His lip was cut, his arms bruised, but his eyes were steady. He whispered, "One more day." When he stepped out of the dorm, silence spread through the corridor. Alien girls stopped walking and stared. Some whispered. Others laughed softly, covering their mouths. He didn't respond. He had already learned that silence was stronger than anger. At the center of the academy stood a huge training arena, circular, glowing with blue lights. It looked like a small planet built for war. Inside, the air shimmered with energy fields. The instructor from yesterday, Commander Tyros, stood there, his armor reflecting the artificial sun above. "Today," Tyros announced, "we test your strength, not your words. The trial of strength begins now." Elior stood among hundreds of alien cadets. He could feel their power like heat waves. Each one was born for battle. Some had claws, some wings. Some could lift heavy weapons with ease. He was the only one without armor, without alien strength, just human will. "Step forward, human," Tyros said. "Your test begins first." Elior walked to the center. The crowd murmured again. Rinna, the tall blue-skinned warrior girl who had defeated him yesterday, was watching from the edge, her arms crossed and a smirk on her face. "Try not to die too quickly," she said. Elior smiled faintly. "I'll do my best." The arena floor shifted. A mechanical gate opened, and from below rose a training droid, massive, silver, and armed with energy whips. It looked like a living weapon glowing with red light. "Defend yourself," Tyros said simply. The droid lunged. Elior rolled aside, feeling the air burn where the whip struck. The ground cracked behind him. He grabbed a broken metal rod from the floor and swung, but it bounced harmlessly off the droid's armor. The crowd laughed. Rinna shook her head. Pathetic, but Elior didn't stop. He moved again, faster this time, ducking under another strike. His body hurt, his lungs burned. But he kept thinking, analyzing the machine's rhythm, its pauses, its delay between attacks. He remembered something his sister once told him during their old sparring sessions on Earth. "Don't fight harder, Elior, fight smarter." When the droid's arm came down again, Elior ran forward, not away, and slid under it. He struck the glowing joint at its knee. Sparks flew. The droid stumbled slightly. The crowd's laughter stopped. Elior stood again, breathing hard. The droid adjusted faster now, its whips cutting through the air like lightning. One hit him across the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body, but he didn't fall. He screamed, but it wasn't fear. It was defiance. He charged again, leapt onto the machine's back, and jammed the metal rod into the damaged joint. The machine sparked violently, losing balance. He jumped off just before it crashed into the ground, exploding in a shower of light. Silence. The entire arena froze. Commander Tyros stepped forward, his face unreadable. He looked at the wrecked droid, then at the boy standing covered in dust and blood. "Not bad," he said finally. "You're still alive." Elior smiled weakly. "I'm good at that." For a moment, even Rinna didn't speak. Her expression softened only for a second before she turned away. Later, in the mess hall, Elior sat alone again. The alien food was strange, blue, glowing, half-liquid, but he didn't complain. Around him, the whispers had changed. He defeated a training droid. With no armor? Maybe humans aren't as weak as they say. But there was another voice, quieter, coming from two instructors nearby. "He shouldn't have survived," one said. "The machine was calibrated to level 3. For his kind, that's lethal." "Exactly," the other replied. "Someone must have changed the settings, either to kill him or to test him." Elior didn't hear them. He was thinking about something else. During the fight, when the droid's whip hit him, he had seen a strange flicker in his vision, a flash of symbols, glowing lines in the air, like a hidden code. He had felt energy move through him for a second, like electricity flowing in his veins. It wasn't normal, and deep down he knew this academy held more than just warrior training. There was something beneath it, something ancient, something dangerous, something that might be connected to him. That night, as he sat near the glowing trees outside his dorm, he saw Rinna again. She approached quietly, her expression serious. "You fought well," she said finally, "but don't think this means you belong here." Elior looked at her calmly. "I don't need to belong. I just need to survive." Rinna's eyes glowed faintly. "Then survive the next trial, human. It won't be a machine next time." She turned and walked away, her armor shimmering under the alien stars. Elior watched her go, his mind racing. He didn't know what the next day would bring, but he knew one thing for sure. The galaxy's most dangerous academy was testing him, and he intended to pass. The next morning, the academy was silent. No clash of weapons, no roar of engines. The sky above Valkyra shimmered with strange colors, soft blues mixing with gold and violet. It was beautiful, but it felt wrong, like the air itself was holding its breath. Elior woke early. He felt uneasy. Something in the air was humming, a low vibration he couldn't explain. The walls of his dorm seemed to pulse faintly with light like they were alive. When he stepped out, a small hovering orb greeted him. Its voice was calm, mechanical. Cadet Elior Kane, you are summoned to Chamber 9 for your next evaluation. The mind trial begins, he blinked. Mind trial? The orb didn't answer. It floated away, expecting him to follow. Elior did. The halls were empty, echoing softly with each of his steps. He noticed things he hadn't before. Symbols carved into the walls glowing faintly in silver light. Some looked familiar, almost human in shape. That made his chest tighten. When he entered Chamber 9, it felt like stepping into another world. The room was circular, huge, and filled with mist. The floor shone like glass, and in the center floated a crystal sphere, humming softly. Around it stood Commander Tyros and 3 elder instructors. Their expressions were unreadable. Tyros looked at him. The mind trial will test what no weapon can measure. Your control, your focus, and your truth. Fail and your mind will break. Elior tried to hide his fear. And if I pass? Tyrus's lips twitched. Then you might begin to understand why humans were feared. The words hit him like a cold wind. Feared? He thought humans were pitied, maybe even forgotten. But feared. Step forward, Tyrus said. The sphere glowed brighter. The moment Elior touched it, the world shattered, everything went white. Then suddenly he was standing on Earth. The sky was burning. Cities were on fire. Ships screamed overhead. He heard explosions, shouting, crying, voices he knew. He turned and saw her, his sister Arya. She was running toward him, her armor cracked, her eyes wild with fear. Elior, she shouted. You have to run. They're coming. He reached for her, but when his hand touched hers, she vanished into light. He gasped. Arya! A new voice echoed behind him. Calm, deep, strange. Why do you fight? Elior turned. A tall shadow stood there, glowing with alien light. It had no face, no shape, just a burning outline of energy. What are you? Elior asked. The voice replied, I am your memory, your fear, your truth. The world around him twisted. He was back in the academy, but everything was dark and empty. The alien girls were gone, their armors broken on the floor. Rinna's voice echoed faintly. You think you can survive here, human? You can't even save yourself. He covered his ears. This isn't real. But the voice laughed. Isn't it? You came here to learn. But what do you really want, to fight or to forgive? He felt something pulling at him, images flashing rapidly in his mind. The war, the loss, the destruction of Earth. Pain rose in his chest like a wave. He wanted to scream. Then through the storm of voices he heard one soft sound. His sister's voice, never stop learning, never stop fighting. Elior closed his eyes and took a slow breath. He focused on that voice, blocking out the rest. The world around him flickered. The shadows screamed and cracked like glass. The fire vanished, and suddenly he was back in the chamber, kneeling on the floor, shaking, sweat dripping down his face. The crystal sphere had turned white-hot, floating above his head. Tyros and the others watched closely. Remarkable, one of the elders whispered. He broke the illusion. Tyros nodded slowly. No one at his level has ever done that. Elior looked up, still breathing hard. That wasn't just a test, was it? Tyros studied him for a moment. No, it was a key. Elior frowned. A key to what? The commander didn't answer. Instead, he turned to the elders. Increase his access level. Let him see the lower archives. The others hesitated. That's forbidden. Do it, Tyros said firmly. Elior had no idea what they meant. But he saw the way they looked at him now. Not with scorn, but with something new. Caution. As he left the chamber, Rinna was waiting outside. She looked at him carefully as if trying to read his face. You survived again, she said. Barely, he replied. It felt real. Like the war never ended, Rinna nodded. That's what the mind trial does. It shows you the memory that hurts most, but No one ever breaks it the first time. Elior stared at her. What did you see in your trial? For a moment, she said nothing. Then quietly, she replied, I saw my home burn because of humans. Elior froze. Rinna looked him straight in the eyes. Maybe now you understand why we don't trust your kind. He wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. She turned to leave, her voice soft. Be careful, human. The Academy doesn't test students for no reason. It chooses them. Elior stood there for a long time after she left, the mist from the chamber swirling around his feet. He didn't know what was happening, but one thing was certain. The Academy was hiding something, and now he was part of it. He looked up at the glowing symbols on the wall again. They pulsed softly in rhythm with his heartbeat. For a second he could swear they formed words in his language. Awaken. Night had fallen over the Valkyra Academy, but the lights never truly went out. High above, the silver towers glowed faintly. Wrapped in clouds of blue mist, strange flying machines moved silently through the sky, scanning every shadow. It was a place where secrets were meant to stay buried. Elior sat by the window of his dorm, unable to sleep. The word from the mind trial still echoed in his head. Awaken. It hadn't been his imagination. He could still feel it humming somewhere deep inside his mind, like a locked door waiting to open. Earlier that day, Commander Tyros had given him a new access band. It shimmered around his wrist like liquid glass. You are permitted to enter the lower archives, Tyros had said, but remember, knowledge can be more dangerous than war. Elior had nodded, but now he couldn't stop thinking about it. What could be so dangerous that even the galaxy's strongest warriors feared it? He waited until the patrol drones passed outside, then slipped out of his room. The corridor was dark and silent except for the soft buzz of alien lights. His steps were light, his breathing calm. Every door was marked with glowing symbols, but one stood out, a circular gate at the end of the hall sealed by blue energy. The access band on his wrist pulsed and the barrier opened with a quiet hiss. Cold air met him as he stepped inside. The room was massive, filled with rows of floating screens and crystal tablets, each shining with unreadable alien text. Strange machines lined the walls, humming faintly like sleeping beasts. He walked between the rows, his eyes wide. There were recordings, old and dusty. He waved his hand over one, and the image flickered to life. It showed a battlefield. Human soldiers, alien ships, fire raining from the sky. But something was different. The humans weren't losing. They were winning. The scene changed again. A group of alien leaders speaking in fear, a voice translated in his earpiece. Humanity's technology grows faster than prediction. Their emotions give them strength we cannot calculate. If they unite, they could destroy us all. Elior froze. His heart pounded. So that was it. The galaxy hadn't destroyed humanity because humans were weak. They did it because humans were strong. Too strong to control. He felt anger rise inside him, but before he could react, a voice spoke from behind. Now you see why they fear you. He turned sharply. Rinna stood at the entrance, her blue armor catching the dim light. She had followed him. For a moment neither of them spoke. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. They'll erase you if they find out. I had to know the truth, Elior replied. They lied to you. To all of you. Humans didn't start the war. Rinna walked closer, her red eyes glowing faintly. I know, Elior blinked. You know? She nodded. My mother was a commander during the human war. She told me before she died humans fought because they were cornered. The Union attacked first, her voice trembled. But if I told anyone, I'd be executed for treason. For the first time, Elior saw something different in her eyes. Not anger, but guilt. He lowered his voice. Then why are you helping me now? Because, she said, glancing at the screens, the Academy isn't just a school. It's built over something your people created long ago. A weapon, or maybe something even worse. They call it Project Halo, and if it wakes up, this whole planet will burn. Elior stepped closer. You mean humans built it? Rinna nodded. Before the end of the war, they hid it here under the Academy, and the Union has been trying to control it ever since. The words made the room spin. He remembered the strange energy during his fight, the glowing symbols that reacted to his heartbeat. What if that was part of Project Halo and somehow it recognized him? Before he could ask more, the lights in the archive flickered red. An alarm began to hum. They found us. Rinna hissed. Run! They sprinted through the corridors as drones burst from the ceiling, firing blue stun bolts. Elior ducked behind a pillar. Rinna threw a small pulse grenade that exploded in a flash of light, knocking 2 drones out of the air. Left, she shouted. There's an old maintenance shaft. Elior followed her, sliding down a narrow tunnel that led into darkness. They landed hard in a dim service room filled with cables and pipes. Both were breathing fast for a moment's silence. Then Elior laughed weakly. You fight pretty well for someone who called me weak. Rinna smirked. You're still weak. You just don't know when to quit. They both laughed softly. The tension between them eased just a little. But then her expression changed again, serious, focused. Listen to me, she said quietly. If Project Halo wakes up, they'll kill you first. You're the only one who can activate it. That's why Tyros let you into the trial. They're using you, Elior, he frowned. Then we need to stop them. She hesitated. We can't, not yet. We need proof. And we need allies, he looked into her eyes. Then let's find them. For the first time, Rinna nodded without hesitation. All right, human, let's see if you can survive the real war. Above them, the academy lights flashed again, bright and cold. Somewhere deep below, machinery hummed softly, like something ancient and powerful was stirring after centuries of sleep. Elior didn't know if it was a weapon or something else entirely, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't running anymore. 2 days had passed since the night in the archives, but for Elior and Rinna, it felt like they were living inside a storm that hadn't yet broken. The academy looked the same from the outside, bright towers, echoing halls, students training with perfect discipline. But underneath, everything had changed. Every step, every whisper felt heavier now that they knew the truth. Elior spent most of his time pretending to train. He kept his movement steady, his expression calm, but his mind was somewhere else. Every now and then, when he focused too hard or became angry, tiny lights sparked along his skin. Faint lines of glowing silver, like energy trapped beneath his flesh. He hit it quickly each time. He didn't know what it meant, but he had a feeling it was connected to Project Halo. During combat class, Rinna kept an eye on him. She was careful not to act friendly. The other girls already suspected something was strange about the human. Still, when their instructor wasn't watching, she slipped him short glances that said, "Stay alive." That afternoon, Tyros announced something new. Tomorrow, he said, the Academy will begin the Unity trials. You will form teams of 3. Those who fail will be expelled or worse. Elior felt his stomach tighten. He barely had 1 ally. Now he needed 2 more. Later, as the lights dimmed for night cycle, Rinna led him through a side corridor that most students avoided. The air there smelled of oil and dust, and the walls were lined with pipes instead of glass. At the end of the passage was a small door covered in warning signs. Rinna pressed her hand against the lock. It flashed green and opened. Inside were 2 alien girls sitting around a flickering light panel. One had pale violet skin and short silver hair. The other was smaller, with insect-like eyes that glowed orange. They looked up sharply when Elior entered. "Rinna," the silver-haired one said, her voice low and cautious. "You brought him?" "Yes," Rinna replied. "He's the one I told you about." "The human," the smaller girl hissed softly. "Humans are extinct." Elior smiled faintly. "Guess I missed the memo." Rinna rolled her eyes. "Enough jokes. We need help. The Academy is hiding Project Halo." The 2 girls exchanged uneasy looks. The violet one spoke first. "We've heard rumors. Power surges under the lower decks. Instructors disappearing, but no one believes it." "They should," Rinna said. "We saw the archives." Elior stepped forward. "If we don't stop them, everyone here could die. Whatever Halo is, it's waking up." The smaller girl's eyes flickered. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," he said quietly. The violet girl studied him. "What do you need from us?" "Loyalty," Rinna answered. And silence. There was a long pause before both nodded. The violet one extended her hand. "I'm Lyra, Tech Division. I can break security locks." The smaller one clicked softly. "Teska, Scout Class. I move unseen." Elior shook their hands. "Then we're a team." They spent the next few hours planning. Lyra pulled up a rough map of the Academy's lower levels. "The energy readings come from here," she said, pointing at a deep chamber beneath the central tower. "Restricted zone. Only instructors and command staff can enter." Teska added, "I can disable patrol drones for maybe 5 minutes." "No longer," Elior nodded. 5 minutes is enough." Rinna looked at him. You really think we can stop it? I don't know, he said. But if humans built it, maybe I can talk to it. That made the room fall silent. Even Lyra stopped typing. Talk to it? She asked slowly. Elior shrugged. When I fought the training droid, something reacted inside me. The same happened in the mind trial. Maybe Halo is connected to my DNA. I feel it, like it's waiting. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Rinna said softly, Then maybe that's why you were sent here. Maybe the universe wanted you to finish what your people started. Elior didn't answer. He didn't believe in destiny, but he believed in purpose. As they left the room, Teska stayed behind to erase their tracks. Rinna and Elior walked quietly down the long hallway back to the dorms. The air between them felt heavy, not with distrust anymore, but with the weight of what was coming. At the turn of the corridor, Rinna stopped him. Elior, she said quietly, if this goes wrong, they'll blame me too. You know that? He looked at her. Then we make sure it doesn't go wrong. She gave a faint, tired smile. You're impossible. Yeah, he said. Humans are like that. They both laughed softly, just enough to ease the fear for a moment. That night, Elior couldn't sleep again. The sky outside his window flickered with strange lightning that wasn't from any storm. He felt the pulse under his skin again, stronger this time, running through his arms like light. He closed his eyes and let it flow, trying not to fight it. For a brief second, he saw images in his mind. Stars, machines, a voice whispering through static. It sounded human. Elior Kane, access confirmed. He sat up sharply, heart racing. The access band on his wrist was glowing white. Down below the academy, deep in the sealed chambers of Project Halo, ancient machinery stirred. Lights flickered after centuries of sleep. Somewhere in the darkness, a cold voice spoke in a forgotten human tongue. Primary system awakening. Elior didn't know it yet, but the war that had ended long ago was about to begin again. This time, inside him. The Academy's artificial sun was still hours from rising when Elior opened his eyes. He hadn't slept. The glow from his access band pulsed faintly in the dark, matching his heartbeat. Each pulse whispered through his mind, soft but clear, like an echo of something ancient calling him by name. Primary system, awaiting input. He didn't know what that meant, but he knew one thing. It was time. By dawn, the team was ready. Rinna, Lyra, and Teska met him in the maintenance corridor behind the training hangars. The air smelled of oil and ozone, and the walls shook faintly as engines hummed above. None of them spoke at first. They all knew what was at stake. Lyra was the first to break the silence. Once I disable the cameras, we'll have 5 minutes before they reset. After that, every alarm in this place goes off. Teska twitched her antennae nervously. And if they go off early? Elior gave a small smile. Then we improvise. Rinna looked at him, half amused, half serious. You humans really think everything can be solved by improvising? Pretty much, he said. It worked for us until the galaxy blew us up. Rinna sighed. You're insane, Elior grinned. That's what makes us dangerous. The door ahead opened with a hiss. Lyra's device projected a map of the lower decks, endless tunnels, power cores, and sealed labs. Deep at the center was their destination, Project Halo control chamber. The tunnels were quiet, too quiet. Strange lights pulsed along the walls, forming symbols that seemed to shift when no one was looking. The air grew colder the deeper they went, the sound of machinery echoing like distant thunder. Teska moved ahead, her small frame slipping easily through narrow passages. No drones, she whispered through the comm. Too easy. That's what worries me, Rinna replied. They reached a wide metal door covered in strange human markings, letters none of the aliens could read. Elior stepped forward and brushed off the dust. His heart stopped when he recognized the words, Project Halo, humanity's last light. He swallowed hard. It's human, Lyra frowned. I thought all human tech was destroyed. So did I, Elior said softly. Rinna looked at him. Can you open it? Elior stared at his access band. It was glowing brighter now. He placed his hand on the door and instantly, light burst from the markings, spreading outward like veins of fire. The door groaned, split apart, and slid open with a heavy rumble. Inside was a massive circular chamber filled with mist and strange machines half buried in metal and ice. In the center stood a giant crystal sphere, floating above a platform. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. The sound was deep and rhythmic, echoing through their bones. "What is that?" Teska whispered. Lyra scanned it with her device. "It's not just energy. It's consciousness. Like a mind." Elior stepped closer. The sphere seemed to react to him, glowing brighter as he approached. Words appeared in the air, written in Old Earth script. Human genetic signature detected. "Welcome, Operator Elior Kane." Rinna's eyes widened. "Operator?" Elior froze. I didn't do anything." The chamber lights flickered. A deep, smooth voice filled the room. "Project Halo activation sequence initiated. Stand by." Machines roared to life. Energy surged through the walls. Holograms flickered. Battlefields, human soldiers, alien fleets, all flashing in rapid sequence. The others backed away as the floor trembled. "Shut it down," Lyra shouted. "It's going critical." "I can't," Elior said. "It's not responding to me." Rinna grabbed his shoulder. "Focus, Elior!" "You started it, now stop it." He closed his eyes, fighting to steady his breath. The voice in his head grew louder, overlapping itself. Dozens of echoes whispering the same phrase. Primary system. Seeking directive. Seeking directive. And then silence. The light dimmed. The holograms faded. The massive sphere floated quietly again, glowing like a sleeping star. Elior opened his eyes slowly. I think it stopped, but it hadn't. A soft blue light spread across the sphere's surface. From within, a faint human-like shape appeared, transparent, glowing, female. It spoke with a calm, warm voice. Operator confirmed. "I am Halo, Strategic Defense Intelligence, Earth Command System." Rinna stared in shock. "It's alive." The hologram turned toward Elior. "You are the descendant of Commander Elior Kane, creator of Project Halo." Elior's heart froze. "Elior Kane. My sister's name was Arya." Halo nodded. "Then the cycle is complete." Before Elior could speak, alarms blared across the chamber. Red lights flashed as doors began to seal. Tyros's voice thundered through the speakers. "Unauthorized activation detected. Security units converge on the lower decks." Rinna cursed under her breath. "They found us." Lyra grabbed her tools. "We can't fight the Academy guards. There'll be dozens." Elior turned to Halo. "Can you help us escape?" "Affirmative," the AI said calmly. "Follow the light." A section of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel glowing with faint white lines. Without hesitation, the team ran. Behind them, the chamber exploded in chaos. Guards shouting, drones swarming, and the echo of Halo's voice fading through the halls. Elior Kane. The galaxy fears what it does not understand, but it will learn again what it means to be human. They escaped into the darkness, hearts pounding, chased by the sound of sirens and the truth that could change everything. Above them, deep inside the Academy, Tyros watched the security feed. His eyes glowed faintly red as he whispered, "So the human woke it." Just as planned. The tunnels shook as the alarm screamed through the Academy. Red lights flashed along the walls like blood pulsing through veins. Elior ran first, his breath harsh in his chest. The access band on his wrist still glowing bright white. Behind him came Rinna, Lyra, and Teska. Silent, fast, focused. They burst out of the maintenance tunnel into an unused storage bay. Metal crates were stacked to the ceiling, and dust floated in the air like smoke. For a moment, they stopped to breathe. Teska pressed her ear to the wall. "They're close," she whispered. "Drones 3 corridors away." Rinna turned to Elior. "Whatever that thing was, you just woke up the entire Academy." Elior looked down at the glowing band. "It's Halo. It called itself a Strategic Defense Intelligence. It knew my sister's name." Lyra frowned. "If it knows your bloodline, that means it was waiting for you." Rinna crossed her arms. "Then Tyrus knew this would happen. He set you up." Elior's jaw tightened. "He wanted Halo activated." "But why?" Before anyone could answer, the sound of heavy steps echoed nearby. Dozens of armored soldiers were sweeping the halls. Rinna motioned for silence, then pointed toward a narrow vent near the ceiling. "Up there," she whispered. "Move!" Elior climbed first, followed by the others. The vent was cold and narrow, the metal vibrating with the sound of marching below. Through the grid openings, Elior saw the guards pass. Tall alien soldiers in black armor, eyes glowing red. A mechanical voice echoed behind them. "Search all sectors. The human is priority 1. Elior's hands clenched. Priority 1. He'd never been anything but invisible his whole life. Now the galaxy suddenly cared. When the noise faded, the group dropped quietly into another hallway. Lyra pulled out her scanner. We can't go up, they've sealed the upper decks. But there's an old power conduit that leads outside the Academy dome. Rinna frowned. It's a suicide tunnel. Half collapsed. Still better than being captured, Lyra replied. They followed her through a narrow service shaft, crawling over cables and rusted machinery. The air smelled of metal and ozone. Every sound echoed like thunder. Elior felt the heat from his band spreading up his arm again. It wasn't pain, more like energy waking inside him. He touched the wall, and lights flickered along the corridor, reacting to his touch. Lyra stared. You're powering the systems. I'm not doing anything, Elior said. It's doing it. Rinna looked uneasy. Then maybe stop touching things. They reached the end of the shaft where a heavy bulkhead blocked their way. Lyra crouched by the control panel. This is locked by high-level command code. I can try to hack it, but it'll take time. Teska's antennae twitched. We don't have time. Footsteps approached from behind, the rhythmic sound of metal boots. They were surrounded. Do it anyway, Rinna ordered. Lyra's fingers flew over the keys. Sparks burst from the panel, the lock flickering. The soldiers' voices grew louder. Elior stepped forward. Move, Rinna frowned. What are you doing? He placed his hand on the panel. Instantly, the lights exploded in a flash of blue. The lock hissed open. The door slid wide just as the first soldier turned the corner. Go, Elior shouted. They sprinted through as blaster fire filled the corridor. The door sealed behind them with a heavy crash. Silence again except for their breathing. They stood inside a long, dark tunnel leading into open night. The stars stretched above them like silver dust. For the first time since arriving at Valkyra, Elior could see the galaxy's sky without barriers. Teska whispered, Beautiful. Rinna looked at him. We can't stay here. Once they find this tunnel, they'll send hunters. Elior nodded. Then we find Halo again. It said something before we ran. The galaxy will learn what it means to be human. We need to know what that means. Lyra checked her scanner. Halo's signal is still active. It's moving, north quadrant near the reactor core. Rinna frowned. The reactor? That's suicide, Elior met her eyes. Then it's where we need to go. They started walking, keeping low. The tunnel led them to an old cargo elevator. It creaked as it descended into the dark. When it stopped, they stepped into another chamber, smaller, older, filled with broken machines. In the center, a faint blue hologram flickered. Halo's voice filled the room. Welcome back, operator. Elior stepped closer. Halo, we need answers. Why are you here? Why did Tyrus want you activated? The hologram shifted. A map of the galaxy appeared, dotted with hundreds of red marks. Tyros serves the Galactic Union Defense Program, Halo said. They seek to use my system to erase what remains of human code from every colony. But my true purpose was never destruction. It was preservation. Preservation? Rinna repeated. Halo nodded. Before Earth fell, your sister, Commander Elior Kane, uploaded fragments of human knowledge, art, and memory into me. I was built to remember what humanity was, so that one day it could return. Elior felt his chest tighten. Then, you're a memory of us. More than that, Halo said softly. I am humanity's voice. The hologram flickered again, unstable. Warning. External override detected. They are tracing my signal. Rinna drew her weapon. We have to move. Halo's voice grew faint. Elior, find the memory core. Protect it. It will awaken others, like you. The light vanished. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Elior said quietly, There are others? Rinna looked at him, eyes wide. Others like you? Humans? He nodded slowly. Maybe not alive, but maybe. Waiting. Suddenly the wall behind them exploded. Guards poured in, weapons raised. Elior grabbed Rinna's hand and pulled her behind a pillar as bolts of plasma lit up the room. Run, he shouted. They sprinted through a side tunnel, the sound of pursuit echoing close behind. Ahead, the tunnel split in two. Rinna turned to him. Which way? Elior didn't answer. The band on his wrist glowed again, projecting a faint arrow of light pointing left. He smiled faintly. That way, Rinna stared. You're letting the thing in your arm decide our path? He grinned, breathless. It hasn't killed us yet. They ran again, side by side, deeper into the maze, while above them Tyros watched the chase unfold on his command screen. His smile was cold. "Let him run," he murmured. "He's leading us straight to the core." The ground trembled as Elior and Rinna raced through the tunnels. Behind them, explosions echoed, shaking the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling and red alarms flashed like dying stars. The academy above was in chaos. Soldiers were everywhere, drones swarming like a metallic storm. Elior's wristband still glowed, guiding the way with a soft beam of white light. "This way," he shouted over the noise. Rinna followed close behind, her breathing heavy but steady. "Where is it taking us?" "To the memory core," he said. Halo said it's the key. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. It was unlike anything they had seen before, a cathedral made of metal and light. At the center stood a massive sphere of crystal, suspended in the air, connected by golden cables. The light inside it pulsed like a living heart. "This is it," Elior whispered. "Project Halo's core." Rinna looked around in awe. "It's beautiful." Before they could move closer, the door behind them slammed open. Commander Tyros entered, surrounded by soldiers in black armor. His voice echoed cold and sharp. "End of the road, human." Elior and Rinna turned. Tyros's armor gleamed under the golden light. His eyes glowed faintly red, not like normal eyes, but artificial. "You're not just a soldier," Elior said. "You're connected to Halo too, aren't you?" Tyros smirked. "Smart boy. The Galactic Union built me to control Halo, to rewrite its purpose. I am half flesh, half machine. The perfect bridge between the old world and the new." He stepped forward. "You activated it for me. Now I will finish what your species started, total control." Elior shook his head. "Halo wasn't made for control. It was made to remember." Tyros laughed. "Memory is useless without power." He raised his hand. Energy crackled from his armor. "Stand down or I erase you both." Rinna raised her weapon, standing beside Elior. "You'll have to erase me too." Tyros sneered. "A warrior defending a human. How poetic." Then he fired. A wave of energy shot across the chamber. Rinna leapt aside, rolling behind a metal beam. Elior barely dodged, the blast grazing his shoulder. Pain surged through him, but he kept moving, diving toward the crystal sphere. The moment his hand touched the surface, the entire room exploded with light. Operator confirmed. Emergency override engaged. The voice of Halo filled the chamber, louder than ever. The soldiers froze as white light enveloped them. Tyros stumbled backward, shielding his eyes. Elior stood before the glowing core, the light swirling around him like a storm. He felt warmth, power, and sorrow all at once, and a voice whispering inside his mind. "Elior, the galaxy forgot what it means to feel. They erased fear, anger, love. But humanity lived through those things, and that's what made it strong." He whispered back, "Then let them remember." "Do you accept full integration?" The voice asked. Elior closed his eyes. "Yes." The light burst outward. Symbols danced through the air, human and alien letters merging. Tyros screamed as the light hit him, his armor cracking. "No, you can't." Elior turned, his eyes glowing white now, his voice calm and steady. "It's over, Tyros." The commander fired again, but the energy dissolved before reaching him. Halo's power surrounded Elior like a shield. Rinna ran to his side, eyes wide. "Elior, what's happening to you?" He smiled, in that same small, stubborn smile. "I'm finishing what my sister started." The core shone brighter, the light spreading upward through the tunnels, through the academy, and into the sky. It reached the stars, connecting to satellites long thought dead, to machines forgotten on distant worlds everywhere. Fragments of human code began to awaken. Words, art, songs, memories of Earth. The galaxy that had erased humanity began to remember. Tyros fell to his knees, his systems failing. "You'll destroy everything." Elior shook his head. "Not destroy. Restore." He raised his hand, and the last surge of light swept through the chamber. Tyros vanished in a flash, gone like dust in the wind. When the light finally faded, the room was quiet. The soldiers lay unconscious. The machines were still. The crystal sphere floated peacefully again. Rinna stood slowly, looking at Elior. He was standing in front of the core, surrounded by faint light. But he looked different. Calm. Free. "Elior," she said softly. He turned to her, smiling gently. "Halo's safe now. The memories are free," Rinna frowned. And you? He looked at his hands. The glow was fading. I don't know. Maybe I was always part of it. The air shimmered around him. The light began to lift from his body, rising toward the core like dust caught in the wind. Rinna's eyes widened. No, don't! He reached out, touching her hand one last time. Tell them, Rinna, tell them what humans were, her voice broke. What were you? He smiled softly. We were the ones who never stopped trying. Then the light took him. The chamber fell silent again. Only Rinna remained, staring at the core, tears mixing with the dust. Above, the academy lights slowly dimmed and the first rays of dawn touched the towers. Later, the Union would find the academy in ruins, but alive. The students spoke of a human who smiled in the face of death, who awakened something greater than war. And across the galaxy, old machines whispered the same word in every language. Human.